The night my neighbor called the police on me for trespassing on my own property, I stood in my driveway and decided not to end it quickly. Phones were already up, sirens were on the way, and one person was absolutely certain I didn't belong where my name sits on the deed. You want to know why I let it ride? I had just pulled into my driveway on Birchwood Lane in Plano Engine, ticking sky, leaning into that soft Texas gold, thinking about leftovers and my kids' homework, when I heard her voice cut the quiet like a whistle. "You can't park there. Who are you? What are you doing on this property?" Patricia Klein, head of the HOA Compliance Committee clipboard, tucked tight phone already unlocked like a badge she gave herself, marched over with that urgent walk of someone who wants to be seen keeping order. I looked at my garage. The new fall wreath my wife hung that morning. The scuff marks where my son practices. Layups, my house, my life. And I said as easy as I could, "Ma'am, this is my home." She didn't blink. "Don't play games with me. I know who lives here. You're not one of them." And right there, I felt that familiar temperature drop, the one you feel when your presence is put on trial before you say your name. I could have ended it in 10 seconds. License in my wallet, deed in the entryway, garage remote on the visor. But there's a difference between proof and permission, you know what I mean. She wanted permission to believe I belonged. That's not how this works. I kept my voice calm. "If you want to verify, I'll unlock the door and you can watch me do it. We can call the clerk, the realtor, the mailman, pick one." She raised her chin like I'd tried a trick. "I'm not going anywhere with you. We've had squatters try this. You'll need to leave." Then she pressed 911 like a victory buzzer. Curtains lifted. Doors cracked. Neighbors eased out with phones in their hands, and suddenly my cul-de-sac was a stage. Someone muttered, "I think that's his place." But Patricia's voice was louder. Cleaner, certain. Trespasser, refusing to leave. I could feel the heat under my collar, but the words stayed steady. "Before you do something you'll regret." I said for everyone to hear, think carefully. "Help is on the way." She answered, satisfied. When the first squad car turned onto our block and painted our houses with blue and red, the air got heavy. Officers Ruiz and Brooks stepped out. Ruiz measured Brooks already tight around the jaw, and Patricia pointed like she was flagging a suspect at a lineup. "That's him." Ruiz nodded once, professional. "Sir, can we see some identification?" I looked at him, then at Patricia, then back at my house. "Happy to clear this up," I said. "But first, what exactly am I accused of?" Patricia jumped in so fast she nearly tripped the sentence. "He pulled into this driveway like he lives here, but he doesn't. I know everyone on this block." Ruiz lifted a hand. "We'll handle it, ma'am," then faced me again. "ID, please. Here's where some folks disagree with me. Yeah, that happened. I could have flashed my license, opened my garage, waved everybody back inside. But there's something deeper than convenience at stake when your right to stand on your own concrete is treated like a rumor." I called my wife instead. "Sandra, can you and the kids step outside a minute?" The door opened, and there they were. Sandra, with that look that mixes love and calculation, Lena clutching her tablet, Miles, in a grass-stained soccer jersey. "What is going on?" Sandra asked, eyes already measuring the scene and the risk. "Just clearing up a misunderstanding," Ruiz said, the way you say it, when you know it's not just that. Patricia kept performing for the cameras. "If he lived here, he would have shown proof by now. These people stall. You heard it too, right?" Phones lowered for a second. Old Robert Lansing shook his head. Melissa Cho said, "Patricia, stop." She didn't. "Officers, remove him." Brooks shifted. "Sir, the sooner you show ID, the sooner this ends. Otherwise, we'll have to detain you while we verify." "Detain him," Patricia repeated, tasting the word like candy. Sandra stepped closer to me, voice steady, eyes bright. "You would detain a father in front of his children for standing in his own driveway." Lena's hands trembled, but her chin didn't. "Why are you treating my dad like a criminal?" she asked. Small voice, big truth. "He helps people. He protects people." Patricia laughed sharp. "Protects who? With what?" And that was the pivot. I reached into my jacket slow. No sudden moves. All the training I have playing quietly in the background. I took out a worn leather case, opened it so the cruiser lights struck gold. Ruiz stepped in, looked close, gave a small nod. "Badge is real." Brooks checked too. Stepped back, face unreadable. My name, my photograph, the seal that has sat in my pocket for 15 years, from Phoenix to here. The block inhaled and didn't exhale. Patricia went pale. "That doesn't prove you live here," she tried, voice thin now. "Anybody could carry a badge." Robert threw both hands up. "Patricia, good grief." Melissa pushed air through her teeth, like she was holding back a whole speech. Ruiz's tone changed a degree. "Ma'am, there's no evidence of trespass here. You made a report that does not appear to be based in fact. I suggest you leave this family alone." She tried one more time to put a cape on her certainty. "I called you to protect this neighborhood, and you made a false report," Ruiz said. "There are consequences." I closed the case and put it away. My voice came out steady enough to carry. "I want everyone to remember how fast a person can be labeled, how easy it is to weaponize rules when fear is driving, how important it is to check your story before it becomes somebody else's humiliation." Sandra touched my arm. "Let's go inside," she whispered. "Not yet," I said, looking at Patricia, not with anger, not with triumph, with the simple, clean stare of a truth that doesn't need to shout. We're not finished. There's a word for what comes next. Accountability. 2 weeks later, the Plano Community Recreation Center was packed tighter than a Sunday brunch line. Folding chairs, bad microphones, printed agendas nobody read. The clips had traveled farther than our street. Not enough to hit the evening news, enough to make the aisles at the grocery store feel smaller. Patricia opened the meeting like a person who thinks a new tone fixes an old wound. "We're here to address certain misunderstandings. Our HOA exists to uphold integrity and safety." Hands went up like a wave. Melissa stood without waiting. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was harassment. Robert leaned back, arms crossed. "Show us where in the bylaws it says you get to call the police when a homeowner doesn't match the picture in your head." A lot of hands rose then. Letters about flower pots, fines for garbage cans, 6 inches off the mark, threats about paint shades. Authority doesn't only wear a badge. Sometimes it comes on letterhead, with your address spelled exactly right. The board shifted in their chairs like the floor had tilted. One of them, Shirley Edmonds, finally said, careful but clear, "Given what we've heard and seen, I think we need to discuss a change in committee leadership." Patricia turned the color of her cardigan. "After everything I've done to keep this place decent." Sandra stood up, calm, low, undeniable. "You kept it fearful. That's different from decent. The vote wasn't cinematic. It was just hands and voices and a decision." Patricia was removed. She left before the meeting ended, heels hard on tile, muttering about ungrateful neighbors. That didn't undo the night on the driveway. Miles still watched squad cars a little longer than before. Lena started asking sharper questions in social studies. At our kitchen table, she asked me the one that still sits with me. Dad, if you weren't FBI, would they have believed you? I took a breath. They should have believed me because I told the truth. I said, voice wobbling where I wish it didn't. But sometimes people only see what fear tells them to see. That is on them, not on us. And then something good happened, slow and ordinary. People showed up, not with speeches, with casseroles and apologies and hammers. Robert helped fix a loose fence board. Melissa brought food and a real welcome. Kevin Ramirez, the quiet neighbor down the block, walked over and said I should have spoken up that night. I chose silence. Not again. The new chair changed the letters. Less threat, more guidance. The fines stopped feeling like traps. The meeting smelled like coffee instead of court. We held a block open house grilled burgers. On the green wrote name tags, with fun facts met for real. Patricia drifted the edges smaller now. Not dangerous, just a caution sign. Later, when the kids were rinsed of grass and ketchup, and the folding chairs were back in someone's garage, Sandra asked me the question people keep asking. Do you still think you did the right thing by letting it play out? I stared at our porch light for a long beat. If I'd ended it in 5 minutes, I said she would have rewritten it by morning. Sometimes the only way to show what unchecked authority looks like is to let it turn the lights on itself. And our kids had to watch, she said. They also got to watch a neighborhood grow up a notch, I said. They watched accountability happen in fluorescent lights on paper in real numbers. Not a hashtag, a vote. Here's the messy part. Not everyone agreed with me. One neighbor said I grandstanded for a viral clip. Another said I should have flashed the badge first thing. A third told me it made her rethink every fine she ever paid for a trash day slip. People are complicated. Communities too. But I'll tell you what I learned. Rules can be good, order can be good. But when either one is used as a shortcut for prejudice, it stops protecting and starts punishing. If something in you tightens when a person doesn't match the picture in your head, loosen it. Ask a name before you dial a number. Offer a hand before you raise a phone. The next driveway you weaponize might be your neighbor's. The next face you misjudge might be the one who slows at the crosswalk for your kid and smiles. If you stuck with me to the end, I want to know what you think. Was I right to let it play out, or should I have shut it down fast? Should I have pressed charges, or was removing Patricia enough? Have you ever watched someone hide behind rules to justify bias? Drop your story in the comments. Push back if you disagree. Tell me where you draw the line between keeping a community safe and keeping it controlled. And if these conversations matter to you, hit subscribe so we can keep them honest.